This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released September 2nd, 2024. Good September. Episode 676. Moving House and Lab.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog. Oh man, that's not even. No, I did. That's how long it's been. Contextual electronics. That's the
Contextual electronics.
That's
yes.
what I
yes.
sort of do. Yeah.
Well,
Good Lord,
do
Dave.
you?
That was. I know. No, I don't do much anything these days. Oh my God.
Right.
Would you like to know what I've been up to?
Working for the man.
Well,
Working for the man.
The man in this case is myself. I'm not working for myself. I still work for my employer, but no, I've been moving house and being sick and cleaning up an old house for the past, I don't know, the entire summer. It feels like at this point. It's the end of summer. It's like there that went. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
What would you normally do in the summer? It's not like you go hang out at the beach or anything.
We do have beaches here. Did you know that?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. I mean, there's some lakes close by.
But you're in the middle of not
no,
middle of the country, but
There's no. It's like 3 hours to the mountains, 3 hours to the beach, to the actual east coast of the U.S. From where I live.
Okay. Yep.
And we do sometimes go to the coastline.
Mm-hmm.
But more realistically, we go to like pools and.
Right.
Actually, the best thing to do in North Carolina in like July and August is get the hell out of North Carolina.
Right.
So we also did that this year. We usually go north to visit family.
Yeah.
And last year I went to Seattle. I don't know if you remember that. It was like going to like the northern regions where it's like perfect and beautiful this time of year, and like hot as heck down here. So.
Well, you could just live somewhere where it's good all year round, like Sydney.
I can't afford that shit, man.
Yeah, I know.
Also, y'all have spiders? You have a lot of spiders.
Did you see a single spider when you were here?
I assume they were just hiding in my bag.
Right,
or,
they were just hiding.
Always,
yeah, right.
always just behind me, like just...
Right.
Yeah, I've seen
Yep.
movies. I've seen movies.
I should have taken you on a more like a dangerous tour or something like that. I
pass.
mean, you saw kangaroos, but it's... You
but
didn't even see a snake while we were out bushwalking. I mean,
those might have been venomous kangaroos. We don't know. It's hard to tell.
right.
Hard to tell from afar.
and those deadly platypus with their spurs. You do
Yeah,
not want to
exactly.
get struck with a platypus spur, let me tell you.
Right.
Yeah, you'll be locked up in pain for weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, bad news.
Well, speaking of pain for weeks, yes. So I've been moving. It's been terrible. We put an offer in on a house in May, and we just like moved into the house like a couple weeks ago. So it's been like an extremely long, like an unusually long close cycle because of renters being in this house that we moved into, and like
Of course. Yeah. There's a whole changeover thing.
It's a whole thing, yeah. And then selling the old house and moving lab and having all my stuff at store. Like, oh man, I just like like when you miss your stuff, Dave.
Right. Do you have a new lab?
I do, but it's probably temporary. I'd say it's like a couple years kind of thing. Like it is a bedroom.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually. I thought we could talk about that on the show. I'm moving back away from my past method. So I had a fantastic space at my old house. It was like a bonus area. It was the biggest room in the house. It was like I was so lucky, and I had like a balcony, and like it was just really, really great. And I'm very lucky now too, but like I put in shelves, and so I had like fixed shelving for all my books and for a bunch of my test equipment and all my soldering stuff, and that was cool. But I am moving away from. You do that too, right? Don't you have fixed shelves?
Nothing attached to the walls. No.
Oh, okay. So that's
I've
right. They're
got,
freestanding. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Freestanding shelves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I am going to move to a new system that I'm prototyping now. So I use wire rack stuff just as storage, and I have used it on bench before, but I found really, really wide wire, like a black epoxy coated wire shelves, and I'm going to actually mount those to my bench. And so basically I'm going to have, this is kind of like what I did in my my like little apartment that I had in Chicago. Like I have some photos online of this, but basically I really liked it actually because you can have lighting directly. So basically like your lighting is right over top of your bench work surface because it's mounted underneath the shelves.
It's mounted under the shelves. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. And then the shelves, I'm not a huge fan of having the test equipment like above. Like we've talked about that on the show before.
Yeah, we have. I know. There's sort of pros and cons. I tend to put my less used stuff higher up.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
That's kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, and when I did it before, like when I did it in Chicago in my little apartment, I actually ended up zip tying my scope underneath the shelves where the lighting was too. And that actually works really great, right? So then you basically have like a dangling scope. I like that. I could see maybe doing that a little bit more. I'd also talked in the past before, like I'd really love to have like have like my source measure unit like flush with the back of the bench. So basically like build a bracket and have it mounted to the back of the bench so that then your probes are plugged basically at the same level as your board and they kind of like come up and over from the back of the bench. Like almost like
got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've always liked that idea, but like that is actually going to be more possible now. One reason I couldn't do that in my past lab is because everything was like mounted now on the walls. So everything's like a fixed, even though I have these really great like height adjustable rolling benches, they were all fixed frame because they were always like my soldering equipment was on a shelf. Yeah. So like, yeah, of course I want my bench like underneath the soldering equipment. Like that's what I wanted to do. So this is going to be an exercise a little bit more in like everything rolls. And I'd already been kind of in that method. I had adopted Jay Carlson's like baker rack style storage. So I have like a bunch of like lunch trays, like at a cafeteria that holds like
yeah,
projects.
you can put various projects on a tray and then slide them in.
Yeah, and unfortunately that actually takes a lot more like personal fortitude than I have. Like it's
personal discipline.
Junk. Yeah, discipline. That's
discipline.
It. Yeah,
yes.
It's just junk collection for me. A lot of the times, I do like separate out the trays by like project or like in this case of dev boards like vendors and stuff like that. But it's an easy like junk collection area, so you have to be careful about that. Same thing with like I'm moving my 3D printer back in now. That's going on a wire rack that's on top of like rubber caster wheels so that can all move around. And like in truth, most of this stuff doesn't move that often, but when you do need to move it, it's actually really nice.
It's Well, that's what I've got to work on. I was just talking about this on the X's the other day about shelving. Like, cause half of my scope, I've got a lot of scopes, right? That's just that's kind of the nature of the YouTube business. And like half of them are on the floor.
Yeah.
Like I need like dedicated, like I was thinking about just having shelving and just for scopes, so that I can get them off. Like,
so I'm a huge fan of wire rack. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that so they usually come with like those screw-in feet, right? Like that, they're like 18 by 18 style like feet that are in the bottom, or 8/16. I don't know. They're like 3/8. I know this is like for your units, but like 3/8 inch. Like M6, I think, is the equivalent, but like 3/8 inch bolts with like 16 teeth per inch screws. And but you can often buy casters that they almost always convert to caster style too. So you can like buy like the wire rack shelves from anywhere, and then you can
and then
attach feet,
shove the casters on. Yep.
Yeah, and then like having those. Especially if they're locking casters, that's important. But like having that, you can even buy like ground drag chains if you wanted. So like say you had a conductive floor, you can even buy so that you like your ground.
If you were that desperate,
your cart is grounded. Well, that's a good idea. I mean, if you don't want to have it build up, so like I've seen that at like manufacturing facilities too.
Yeah.
But So a lot of I mean, right now everything is it's like a bomb exploded in my lab. But like, but soon
you haven't seen my lab, dude.
Yeah, I have not seen yours in a while. Yeah.
So do you actually have a clear path to walk into your lab?
I do.
Is there actually a clear path? Well, there you go. You are not at the threshold yet. Once you actually have to start stepping over stuff, then it's like,
Are you stuck in your
lab
Dave?
parkour? It's parkour here to get to.
Do you need to call? Should we call someone to like come cut you out or what?
It might have to because I never get around to it. Like,
I think the most important thing, I think we talked about this on the show before. Most important thing is getting stuff off the floor, right? That is the the floor is lava, right? You got to just
exactly.
get everything up as high as you can, and I think that's where like, unfortunately, like the nice thing about shelving is that you can like get stuff up and off the floor, but then it's like it's down to you to like go and actually clear it off, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Got to put the effort in. Anyway, I'm thinking about a lab rearrangement. Like in terms of, having a backdrop and stuff like that, and where my current PC is and things like light in for, like on camera, like a screen capture type stuff and things like that. I'm basically I put my benches where they are due to convenience of the PowerPoints and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't done with much thought of like what it would look like on camera, and it kind of looks like pretty crap on camera. So yeah.
That is one other thing that I'm doing a little bit different. I had mounted my teleprompter like monitor / camera on my bench in the past, and so like every time I'm like typing, so if you like watch videos.
I hate that. Yes. The problem is you can't. I know it's convenient. Just mount it on the back side of the bench, and then you find that anytime you move the bench, you're doing something. The camera shakes.
That's right.
Yeah,
so now I have
you got to decouple
my camera on like a rolling stand with like sandbags, and like my light is mounted to that, and it's still kind of tethered because of wires. But but yeah, there's a bunch of videos that I watched. I think I mentioned on the show before. Like one of my favorite YouTube channels is Caleb from DSLR Video Shooter, and like he has this one like standalone YouTube studio on a single stand, and basically I like ripped that off and like bought the same stuff, and so that's kind of where I'm operating off of right now. And it works fine.
I find that benches, because at the moment, like my benches, my desks here are pushed against the wall, and that actually limits your options of what you can do. Like as you said, like a camera on a stand with sandbags, like you can't just put it behind the bench because the bench is against the bloody wall.
Yeah, it's like flush.
So it's like, it's like, Anyway, so.
Yeah. So I think my general rule is everything on wheels, everything that has a plug. You only have one plug coming off anything, right? So like if it's a kneeling wire, it's only got a single plug coming off.
Yeah, so you build the power boards into the shelving or the benches, and then everything plugs into those, and then you have the one cable.
That's right, yeah. Exactly. Then when you do have to move, you just move that one power point, and then you're done.
Yep. Absolutely.
Then, lighting. I think lighting gets as close as you can to the thing that you're trying to light. So in the case of like, I bought some like LED tube lighting that's going like right underneath that wire shelving I mentioned that's mounted on my bench. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably have lots of things to gripe about in the future, but it's been okay so far. I think it's really just a matter of like so many boxes still. Like what I'm really wondering is, so my buddy Mike, my coworker and buddy Mike, I was like talking to him about how much I really have I had like a great like storage area. And he was telling me, he's like, hey, I have this idea. And I was like, I like the idea of like a storage area as like an investment property, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
He's like, no, I have a great idea for a storage area. What they do is they move all your stuff into the storage area, and then it immediately dumps it into a trash dump, and then you never see it again, because anything you put in a storage area, you never ever need.
Right.
And I thought that was hilarious, and it kind of cut pretty deep. But what I'm wondering is like
storage units.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm really wondering about is like
with the idea. Are there storage units nearby you that you can actually buy rather than rent? Renting's just.
Oh no, there's no buy. I mean, like I was thinking, like if I was rich, I'd like buy an entire building, sort of thing, like that. That kind of like level of dreaming.
An entire building, just one.
I'm just saying, like being an owner of the franchise building. That's what I mean. It's like, isn't it nice that people pay you to hold on to their crap for them? Like Dave does.
Yeah.
But but in the more practical sense, what I'm really thinking about is like I have all these like tubs of components, and like we keep this stuff because we're pack rats, and
of course,
and like we have these self-reinforcing things of like when you do need that one thing and you go and pull it out of the bin, it's like just dopamine like crazy. So you keep it around, right? But what I'm really wondering is like, why do I have all this shit, Dave? I mean, like I don't need it. Yeah. And so I think one of the questions is, it's like, how long could I leave that in there? That organizational technique where you like put a a date on the box.
On
and then,
the
like,
box, and if you don't use
if
it
it's
by
like
that date,
a year
out it goes.
later,
Yeah,
exactly, that sort
Right.
of thing.
Yep.
I probably will not do that. I'm just being very clear right now, but
Right.
like I'm thinking about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Join the club.
Yeah.
No, I have to
tough
get
to get
the
rid of
shit
stuff.
out of here because I cannot work productively in the current mess I've got. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like I've got a lot of bench space, and I'm not kidding. 90% of it is unusable because there's just crap all over the bench. Like my bench is like 6.5 meters long, right?
Right,
6.5 meters by like 900 deep. Like and like to shoot a video, I've got to actually move stuff out of it, and you can still see it in the shot. You can still see all the crap
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
I mean, it's just insane. So yeah, have to devote the time to it. But no, I'm gonna, no, I have to make a video today. No, I got to do this today. Yeah.
You need like a cleaning person that like you trust
Yes.
enough to like label your stuff.
Right.
And, like,
Yes, to label it. Yeah, I need to get
Yeah.
like an intern into.
and then like
just
they move it
clean
down
everything.
into like the storage area, and then
Right. Yep.
then you ask what's down there, and top men. It's being taken
Top
care
men,
of by
yes.
top men. Yeah. I
That's
totally
it.
messed that up, but yes,
Yes.
that idea.
Yes. I do get the reference, of course.
yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we talk about electronics? Can we talk about hardware?
Dave, I've been talking about electronics. I've been talking about where I store all my crap. Sure, I'm happy to. I've been designing electronics on camera. Have you?
Oh no, I have not
Have
watched.
you known this? Yeah.
No,
wow, it's-
no.
Yeah,
Oh, I
am
don't
on
follow
my,
you because you're not like on Twitter anymore. So like,
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
right? Where's this stuff
I
being
do post
published?
it on. I post on LinkedIn, and it's published
LinkedIn.
on-
Who the hell uses LinkedIn?
Professionals, Dave.
No,
I'm
no one
a
uses
professional.
Oh,
There's a
LinkedIn.
Rowan
What a
Atkinson
waste.
skit where he's talking about, I'm a professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's on LinkedIn and YouTube. YouTube, you may have heard of YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but what channel is it? Your personal?
It's on the
channel or is
Goliath.
it your
It's on the
com-
Goliath YouTube channel. Yeah. So,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I am in the midst of designing modules. So basically, I made like an abstraction layer at a castellated edge for a module.
Yep.
And the rabbit hole went very deep. Basically trying to make it so that I can have a range of different parts and communication mechanisms, and they all kind of work with the same castellated edge. So it's a 24 by 34 millimeter module that I'm designing with like, I think probably 33 usable pins around the edges.
Yep.
And then I have 5 different versions of the module planned. I am almost done with the first one, and I've got like the parts kind of roughed in and all the pins planned out for the other 5 versions.
Cool.
Yeah, it's called the DRAM module, but it's spelled DRACHM. So it reads like Dracum,
Great acronym.
but
Yeah,
it's DRAM. That's how they used to
Right.
say it, because I kept naming everything like
Got it.
alchemy. So yeah,
I'm not
so,
easily finding the Goliath YouTube channel.
It's an O, not an A, Dave. It's an O. GOLIOTH. Perhaps you IOT in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I goofed that. Okay.
That's fine. It happens a lot,
All right.
and Google does
Yep.
not really change the biblical name that often. So
Right. No, I still didn't. No, Google still doesn't.
I'm
give
going
it
to
to
just
me.
send you a link. How about that?
Yes.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Bloody YouTube's not going to give it to
Yeah.
me. Goliath. Okay. Yep. Here we go.
You'll see
Yep,
a
got
little a yellow background and a little Goliath man thing. So
How Phlox uses Goliath for real-time neural network management.
it's a little different, but I'm also on that one.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
your ugly
my
mug
face
came
is
up.
on there. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, live streaming has been terrifying. It's gotten easier. The 5th one in. Not a ton of people like live viewing it. Oh man, when was the last time we talked? I don't even know the last time we.
Oh yeah, it's actually a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also released a bunch of open source hardware.
Oh, I saw that. All Goliath hardware is now open source.
Yeah. So the last time you and I, oh my God, Dave, it's been
Yeah, I
July
know. It's been too
30th?
long due to various things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly my moving house. Yeah, it's been
Right.
and being sick. Yeah. Yeah. So made a bunch of open source hardware. Now this DRAM hardware is basically kind of shrinking that down to a kind of like the essence of it onto a module, and it's been pretty fun. I mean, it's
Cool.
yeah. Have you ever built like a module,
What do you mean, like a
like a castellated
like
edge
a
style
physical
module?
plate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. What
Many
what
of
kind
them
stuff?
over the years.
Like
so
power
like
modules or other stuff?
yeah, there's been power modules, there's been mod boards for like older hardware and stuff like that is common.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And anytime you want to separate something out from the main board because you think you might change the design later and you don't want to respin the main board kind of thing, or you want to test it separately, you want to engineer it separately, you want to verify it separately, you want to assemble it separately. Tons of reasons for doing like a little modular board and then, surface mounting it as onto the main board.
Yep. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Plenty of reasons.
Some of it still rings pretty true with like the shortages. Like some of this is definitely like my PTSD around 22, 23.
Right.
Like just being like, well, if things go wrong, you could always, if you can't get a part, you could still design in another part, sort of thing. And it's there's always, we've talked about it on the show before, but just like trade-offs of time and costs and signal integrity and just like all of the things. But sometimes if you're dealing with like low frequency signals and you don't have a huge space constraints and stuff like that, like really tight space constraints, then you can really start to break out a lot of important things. I feel like,
of course.
Yeah.
Well, you can go entirely modular, but you're kind of in like the sort of like evaluation board, demo board kind of market
that's right.
where that thing is like kind of handy. So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like my whole idea, it was like, what could I take this module and add a battery and a sensor, and it's like it's a thing. You know what I mean? And it does kind of all the stuff in between sensor and battery, and you're like kind of good to go. So you basically make like there's really, really simple, effectively breakout boards for different functionality. So like we're designing one that's just like a battery and an accelerometer, and it's like stupid to have just this thing, but if the module's always the same, then it really simplifies a lot of the other stuff, especially when the stuff in between is like cellular and Wi-Fi and all the other kind of heavy lift there. And then when you switch from it being like a accelerometer to a pressure sensor, it's it's a trivial board change, right? To change out the kind of the landing board or the host board, but the middle goo part really kind of stays the same, and so you don't have to go and even dragging and dropping the same design onto another board. Your assembly is a lot easier because your assembly is now just sticking this kind of more complex. You kind of centralize the complexity onto the module in this case. Like the module is a 6-layer board, and then it's going to be a 2-layer breakout board for the little battery plus sensor thing. So that kind of idea. Yeah.
And you've extrapolated the complexity of that board out to an entirely separate unit. You can even give it to a different design team. You could even have somebody else who's an expert in doing that sort of stuff. You can have them develop the little board, and then you just plug it in, for example. So there's many.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
many reasons.
That's
Cool.
the thinking there.
Bananas.
It definitely started in a different place, and
Yeah,
then it became like, well, we could make this work for everything. Like how that, as modularity goes, it's like, well, we can make it like work for anything. And it's like, well, there are limits there, of course, but yeah.
That was the Altium vision.
Yes, that's
Modular
right.
hardware, you can make it do anything.
I was thinking of that a little bit, yeah. And you have to stop at some point. You have to like draw a line in the sand at some point. So,
Yep. Exactly.
This one like leaves the SIM card off the module, and it leaves the battery charging off the module, and it leaves there are some lines drawn there still.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Altium, they finally delisted from the Australian Stock Exchange. They are now fully
Yeah, that went through.
bought.
Yeah.
It actually happened. So,
Yes.
and then there was talk on the forum. Somebody started a thread about they got an email from the new Altium, I guess you call it, that they're going to discontinue the perpetual license.
Yes, that's right. We mentioned it on the show.
Oh,
I
did we?
believe.
Oh,
I think
okay.
so.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, because
Okay.
we
let's not
remember
go on
someone
about
wrote in about it, and then we were discussing it. This
Right.
was back on the Turtles as a service.
Oh,
episode,
yeah,
I
yeah.
believe.
Turtles as a service. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, it's gonna it's gonna be more expensive for the people that the person who wrote in said like, hey, this is gonna be more expensive for my group, and then it was like, should I switch to KeyCat or should I do other stuff here? And that's still kind of up in there, I think. But I do think generally, I think Renaissance, having purchased, they're gonna make their money back at some point, So, and it's gonna come from the people who are kind of locked in, unfortunately.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's
No, it's hard to make the change. It's hard to, once you're embedded in a tool, it's, it's really difficult to change, especially if you're in an organization. If you're just a one-man, even if you're a one-man band, if you're so used to using it, like if you're a contractor, for example, and you're used to using Altium, you're not going to switch because that's going to screw you up big time.
Yeah, right. All your legacy stuff, all your workflow, how much you could charge per hour. Yeah, it's just.
Totally.
I think honestly they're gonna just tick the number up a little bit at a time, and I think that this is gonna be the biggest tick up, and then people are just gonna it's gonna be like a frog in a boiling pot of water sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, and it's unfortunate, but I think it's just a reality. They're gonna come to parity with the other.
Don't underestimate how long the frog can boil for.
That's true.
So
Yeah, exactly.
My recommendation. The frog can boil for decades. Trust me.
Delicious, delicious frog soup.
Delicious frog can boil. So said the French.
Yeah.
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 All right. Inductor polarity, dude.
What about it, Dave?
Inductor polarity. Did you read this story? It made all the news.
I haven't really been reading the news, but
you're
perhaps
not
you
on
could
Twitter,
recap for me.
Okay. It is on our official list. Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi. I will link in. There's the link in. If you can't see it, I will send it to you right now so that you can. Here we go. There it is. There's
Inductor
the link
polarity.
for you to the
I see
PDF
it,
data
yep.
sheet. Raspberry Pi. They released their new RP 235X series microcontroller, right? Which they have on various new little modules. I can't keep up of which ones they're using. Anyway, the new Raspberry Pi microcontroller. Now this comes from Raspberry Pi themselves. Okay, so they've got a really nice hardware design document. So it's hardware design with the RP2350. So it's how to, it's basically a how-to guide of how to use their microcontrollers, design them into your actual products, right? Which is a really cool guide. It's fairly comprehensive. Now, one of the things this new microcontroller has is a built-in switching regulator, right? So you put in the 3.3 volts, and then it's got a built-in switching regulator. Of course, you have an external inductor and some external caps, right, to actually go with that. And then it generates and then it has the internal buck switching regulators that then power the cores. Cores, plural? I don't know. Right.
Cores, yeah, no, it's a dual M33 and a dual RISC-V.
Okay, and they operate at 1.1 volt core voltage, right? So this saves you having to, pick an external external buck converter chip and the extra BOM cost and everything, right? It's nice to have it all built into the chip. Unfortunately, they've come a gutser with this because when they developed their board, they discovered that, it's not as efficient as it was when they actually started producing the board in volume. They discovered that it wasn't as efficient as it was during their testing. What's going on? Cut a long story short, they narrowed it down to the polarity of the inductor. It's a 3.3 mic surface mount inductor. And yeah, they...
Do you, dear listener, remember that you can have polarity on inductors?
On an inductor.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Most of the time you don't think about it. Most of the time
I
they
forget
aren't
all
marked.
the time. Yeah,
right?
I remember.
So yeah, and usually it's not a thing, but there's something wrong.
Is it?
sorry.
Is it
Joking.
because of how the core saturation happens? Is that where the
They
polarity comes
don't
from?
actually know. Their solution to it
Wait,
was
who's they in
to
that sentence?
they is
They,
Raspberry
Raspberry Pi.
Pi who manufacture their boards, right?
Got it.
So
Okay.
and in this document is they tell you the type of inductor to use and the brand. It's an Abracon, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
L1.
And they don't give the exact part number, but it's actually to be determined. So it's an 06, so it's a 2016 surface mount size part. And so their solution was to actually get the manufacturer to install them in the tape in the correct polarity, because apparently previous to this, they just had like random polarity when the manufacturer put them in the tape. I don't sort of know. Oh, I guess I know how that happens. You know, like a vibration tray, and then they all funnel down maybe into, and they change random polarity. So they got the manufacturers to not only put them with a consistent polarity in the tape, but then also mark them as well, so that this stopped the problem. So it, like, in this design document, they don't actually tell you that they got to the bottom of the problem. The Band-Aid solution was to get the manufacturer to mark it, to mark the polarity of the inductor and to mark it on the silk screen on the board and ensure they put the inductor in the right way. So, yeah. Oopsie. A big
So
oopsie.
does that mean that they were seeing like an actual, like, do you think they were seeing a 2-part distribution because of like, well, I guess I don't know what the distribution would have been of like left versus right landing of the inductor.
They don't even quantify it. They only say it was a drop in efficiency. They don't tell you. I don't think they tell you exactly how much. I haven't reread it in like 3 or 4 weeks now. But yeah, they don't actually tell you. They just say it's quite a measurable drop in the efficiency of the regulator. So yeah, oops. Big oops. Now, and there's talk about this on the EV blog forum. We'll link in the thread, EV blog forum thread down below. Everyone's having a guess at what it is. See, that they didn't even get to the point of figuring out whether or not it's inductive coupling, whether or not it's capacitive coupling. Like, it may not even be an inductive thing. It may be like, or a combination of, issues, like some sort of sensitive node. Basically, everyone's converging on the solution, like the EV Blog forum members, converging on the solution that it's a sensitive node inside the design of the switching converter.
Things are happening in silicon, yes.
Basically, these sort of things will happen where you have a high impedance node, right? And you've got high impedance sensitive nodes inside switching converters. It's a thing. Right, that's just how they're usually designed. Like, you've got like an op-amp sensing input, and that's just going to be like a high impedance input. And yeah, they can be sensitive, but like, I've never heard of this issue on any external switching converter chip. I don't know if you have. I'm greatly doubting it. I'd be very surprised if you've ever heard of it.
I've seen markings on like Linear Tech and TI, like drawings, right? Because you'll see like them recommend these things as well, and you'll have you'll have markings as well. But I don't know what happens when you install it backwards.
Usually not in tiny surface mount ones like this. Like, usually not in, it's
No, you're right. Usually they're like the larger, like
the larger,
like
big
large coil.
jobbies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Where that sort of thing matters. But yeah, they've. So
do they quantify how much their efficiency was?
No, that's what I said. They don't seem to quantify it. They just said it was quite a substantial measurable difference, and they're scratching their heads trying to figure out why. And it looks like they never actually solved it at the silicon level of what actually caused it. Probably because they don't have control over that. They probably just used like a drop-in silicon core from somebody. Right, and then it's probably some combination of where that's located on the die in comparison with something else, some other circuitry that they've laid out on the silicon or whatever. Right, there could be a million different reasons for it. But
well, I think the best thing to do is for us to ask those guys to come back on the show, and we'll
right, and
see what happens.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they know. I don't think they got to the bottom.
Yeah,
of
but
it,
by
or
the
they
time we
probably
get it
because they can't-
scheduled and by the time
right, you think they might have
we
gotten to
don't
the
act
bottom of it.
on the bleeding edge here, Dave. We,
well, yeah.
especially I haven't talked to them in a couple weeks or months, and so
Yeah.
But
It'd be
I'll talk
interesting
to
to
them.
know if they actually eventually find out
Yeah,
why.
and if
But
they'll
I
tell
wouldn't-
us too. If they'll tell us,
I would,
but-
yeah, I wouldn't blame them for going, well, it's just too hard because we buy it as a drop-in silicon module, and it's
module,
like, meh, you just, shrug your shoulders and go, shit happened,
Yeah, I mean, well, you and I buy
and we've already made
off-the-shelf
1 million of
silicon.
these chips.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so all they're doing is in their design guide is actually recommending that you install the inductor the right way around.
Works for me.
But other people on the forum are saying, well, they could have just chosen a bigger inductor and layout. You might not have had this problem, and like maybe they're too on the edge with their like trying to get this cheap ass inductor in there. I don't know.
Could be,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. So,
Yeah, well, I think
it's a very interesting
one thing that has been very clear from the past two times the Raspberry Pi team has been on the show is that they are focused on efficiency of capital in their designs. So, like,
Right. Yes. That's why they're trying to shave every cent off
exactly.
this design.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that
yes,
if that was one of the theories, that would be the one I would usually point to. Is just like, they're trying to just make it as cheap as possible so that they can really make it as accessible as possible. Which
of
is
course,
great.
that's their entire business model.
Yeah.
I
that's
mean,
great.
you can't
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
blame them for that, right?
It has been fun watching this chip come out. I mean, seeing like all the I think we're just
How
on the
many
precipice
variants of this actual microcontroller are there? I haven't looked. I assume there's various variants, right?
I
And
just
this
was
is
talking
the
about like
newest one?
seeing all the people who are actually so like Raspberry Pi has like reference design platform, but then they basically leave it up to the SparkFun, Adafruits, the smaller producers
Right.
of the world
Yeah.
to do that. But then I think it's even the second order, third order designers. It's like seeing the 2040 just kind of like make its way into designs all over the place. I think this new chip has just it's got more PIOs, it's got extra cores, it's got like kind of some new stuff under the hood. It's a faster clock speed. It's got more capabilities. I think we're just kind of on the precipice of seeing what people do with this stuff. So it is weird. Not weird. That's a bad term. It's impressive to see what they've been doing with their silicon stuff in house.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
And like people have really gotten after it too. So I'm excited to see all the RISC-V stuff they're doing. I think I'm right about that. Boy, I feel stupid if that was wrong now. I thought it was a 2-2. I thought it was a 2 and 2, but maybe I'm thinking of a different chip.
No, well, this is a dual Cortex M33.
It was that, okay. But I thought there was two RISC-V processors on top of that as well.
Oh, doesn't say so in the on the
Yes,
page.
I am
for the
correct.
2350.
Dual core M33.
Oh, sorry, yes. And a pair of open hardware Hazard 3.
Yeah,
I assume,
there it
was
is.
Hazard 3 a company that makes
I have
a
no idea.
RISC-V, right? Silicon, yeah. Okay, two Hazard 3 RISC-V cores.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Selectable
cool.
in software or by programming the OTP. Yeah. So
Yeah, nice.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I assume they're not beefy, the
here we go.
RISC-V ones. They just handle ancillary stuff. Is that?
Well, it says they're selectable in software, so it could also be like they're just
right. And you
they're
can switch
just-
between them.
They had enough extra stuff here. So this actually shows, this page I just sent you shows the different options. There's the 2350A and B, and then there's 2354A and B. And so it's basically 30 versus 48 GPIOs, different size chips, 7x7 or 10x10. And the 54 has extra stacked flash on it. So the 2354 has integrated flash in a SIP style. So
Yep.
yeah.
Right. And that's actually a stacked silicon thing. It's not built into the core silicon. Yep.
I think it's like probably a through package. What do they call those? Like
It's a hybrid package.
yeah,
type
like
thing.
hybrid. Yeah, like a SIP style. Yeah, but it's still in the same package. Still a QFN. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's this chip has a flaw in its converter, so you can actually avoid it. You can apparently they didn't originally say this in the data sheet, but you can just feed power. You can feed the 1.1 core voltage directly into the pin of it. So, and that will override the built-in switching converter. So that's probably, might be the safest way to do it. Like if they're having issues with this, then I'd be, as a designer, designing this into my product, I'd be hesitant to use the internal switch converter. Now that it's there's some sensitive node problem, I just, as a designer, I would not like to risk, even though it passes all the testing and qualification and everything. Once you get it into production, if your components, if your supply chain changes or something like that happens, then you could be right on the edge and you don't know it, and then the efficiency of your internal switching converter halves, or worse, it doesn't work at all. But there's no indication it doesn't work. It's just it reduces the efficiency or something. But still, as a designer, I'd be getting the heebie-jeebies and using an external 1.1 volt.
Yeah, for now.
Reg. But unless you're saving every cost. Of course, it's going to cost more. There's more board space. There's more bill of materials, So, yeah, it's a trade-off. But anyway, you take your chances if you use the internal switching converter. Oops. Yeah. Oh, boy. Anyway, it's quite funny. And it is the talk of the town. So... Yeah. There you go.
So this is about the RISC-V versus the M33s. This is saying that it's either or. Maybe there'll be a thing in the future.
Right. I was going to ask that. Because they're saying you can switch them. I was going to ask if you can actually run them concurrently.
It includes a pair of open hardware RISC-V cores, which can be substituted at boot time for the Cortex M33 cores. Our boot ROM can even auto-detect the architecture for which the second stage binary has been built and reboot the chip into the appropriate mode. That's pretty cool.
Why? Yeah, but
that means they doubled up the silicon.
Why would you want to do it?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do it? Then you're just wasting half the silicon because they got
If I had to hazard 3, I
guess we're here all week.
I would guess that the 2350 was started in 23. I'm guessing they've already started. Let's call it the 2450 or the 2550, whatever they're going to call the next one. If I had to hazard a guess, I would guess that the next one will not have... Well, that's kind of a dumb guess. I would guess that they don't have ARM in the next one, but these guys are based out of Cambridge, too. So maybe it's a way to show that you could have a future version where you just had it turned off and you didn't have to pay the licensing fee? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, but wait...
I don't know.
Can you think of it like maybe some product that has dual modes where you want to power it up using a different processor? But I don't.
I mean, you'd have to compile for the two different cores though too,
niche. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's like I don't get it.
Add that to the pile of questions about that. It'll also be interesting to see most people don't actually operate at that level, right? You think about how most people are using the 2040 or the 2050 now. Yeah. They're probably using it, Arduino, MicroPython, just the C SDK, that sort of thing. Like, most people are like, whatever the compile is underneath, I don't give a shit. Just give me access to the GPIOs and all the cool stuff otherwise, right?
The only thing I can think of is that they're using it to target different markets. We're an ARM company, damn it. We only use ARM in this house. We use ARM, whereas in this house we use RISC-V processors, right?
Yeah,
so they're trying to target both markets with the one chip. It's almost like, well, you should have just had a pin on it, like you just strap it either high or low, and it chooses which processor you want, rather than having software switchable.
Their data sheet even, they have section 3.3 is event signals for ARM, section 3.4 event signals for RISC-V.
That's man. It's just. That's
poor
messy,
documentation, people. I mean, it's actually cool
poor documentation people.
You can do it side by side, though,
someone
too,
please
right?
think of the documentation people.
Yeah. Think of the drones. Yeah. No, it's very interesting.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's oddball. I didn't know that. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I knew they had both. I had seen the top level spec, but I didn't.
Right.
I didn't know before this
I did
evening
not
that they
look
were
that
switchable.
close.
I
That
thought
is
I thought it was
bizarre.
like
Okay.
you just had extra because like a lot of processors, so I like follow a lot of the news releases about new processors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are throwing RISC-V stuff in there. I think it's basically one of those things where we got
Well,
an
it's
extra,
a freebie, right?
Well, we
we're
got like
gonna
2
have
millimeters by 2 millimeters spare because
spare. Well, let's
yeah,
throw in a RISC-V core.
might as
Yeah,
well
it's
throw it in
free,
there.
right?
We can always turn it off,
Yeah.
right? And like
Right,
yeah,
right.
like I'm pretty sure I follow like the Nordic stuff pretty closely, and then some of their new parts have like RISC-V just kind of like chucked in there, and it's just like
Got it. Yeah.
what are you guys doing there? And I think it's like
Right.
experimentation and like, but like why not just make it accessible and see what people do with it? And like
Interesting.
Espresso's been doing that a long time. They've had like
Yep.
their what do they call it? Like their ultra low. I can imagine Andreas Spiess talking about it, but like they're like ultra low power the ULP. That's what ULP. It's a RISC-V as well, I believe. So like, yeah, they're like like they're cheap. They're easy to put in there. There's at a certain point, it's like I don't think they want to pay any licensing fee for the extra. They wouldn't want to put like a Cortex M0 Plus in there. So like,
Yeah.
chucking a RISC-V in there, and that's
Of course.
that's what they're doing in my head at least. I don't know if that's the reality. But.
I don't see anyone switching this dynamically in software. I just like.
I don't know if that's possible. Why would
Well,
you?
well,
You mean even at
well,
boot
they
time?
say it's selectable in software. I don't know if
At
you can
boot,
like
at boot though. At boot.
at boot only.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well, I can't see somebody using both of these at the same time in a actual product. I think the whole idea is target market
Yeah. Yeah.
in the same chip. So
Yeah. Yeah.
odd.
Oh, I'm just seeing
Oh
now.
God, they're going to throw a
posted
bloody
a-
processor into everything these days, aren't they?
They are. Yes.
The new toaster chip. This new toaster chip. Oh well, it's got it's got a RISC-V in it.
Toaster
Yeah,
chip.
thanks a
Is
lot.
this a real thing or no? Or is this the
no,
old
I'm
toaster
just-
joke? Okay. Yeah, I remember that
It's the old
chipset.
toaster joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one,
You,
yeah.
you can buy dedicated toaster chips.
Yeah,
right.
right,
It's a
right.
toaster ASIC.
That's right.
That just runs a toaster and it has Browning mode and there's a pin to strap it and
Yeah.
like
Yeah. We've
turns
definitely
on
talked
Browning
about that on the
mode,
show. Yeah.
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 And now it'll have a bloody RISC-V in it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the silicon for the RISC-V is not the expensive. Like the expensive part is always like adding memory and then like having, some poor schlub to go and program it. Right? Can probably,
Right.
an assembler.
That is why microcontroller manufacturers, you pay a lot price difference at the bottom level between a part that has more memory. It's exactly the same part, but it's 128K instead of 32K, for example.
Yeah,
You'll pay a lot more because that memory space takes up a lot of die space. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah. Ah well, when I was a boy, 1K was all you needed. 512 bytes. You can do a hell of a lot in 512 bytes.
Yeah, man.
Sorry,
hey, did
words,
you hear the news about the parts you were probably buying when you were a boy as well? Microchip got hacked. Actually, it's not on our list, but
No, where is it?
yeah,
Send me-
Microchip. Microchip got
got hacked in what way?
I don't know if it was like a ransomware.
Oh, as in the company their servers got hacked or something.
Yeah,
company
and
got
they
hacked, you're
basically
talking
they
about.
started. There's a cyber attack over the weekend. They disrupted, and basically they started turning off some of their. I think.
Hackers attack U.S. chip maker Microchip 5 days ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
Okay.
basically what they've been giving warnings about is like, hey, this is going to actually impact our ability to like deliver wafer starts and stuff like that.
Oh
so,
yeah, of course. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are trying to disrupt some of the services and business operations. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if it was a targeted attack or whether or not it was just a generic worm program that went out and
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
happened to
Right,
be,
right.
Right.
Yeah. And we haven't
Yeah.
even
Wow.
we haven't made any CrowdStrike jokes on our episodes. Since
Oh
that's
right,
happened.
yeah. See,
That's how
I
long
had
it's been
no
since
idea-
we've recorded.
am I the only one on this planet
Probably.
who had never heard of CrowdStrike before this thing happened?
Oh no, I had never heard of it before it happened.
Right.
No.
I had never
Yeah.
right. I had never heard. I still don't know what the hell it is. What the hell is CrowdStrike?
It's basically a
Security
virus
software?
that you program into your kernel on your Windows machine, and it allows you to have like kernel level access so that you can have a monitoring service and like a restart. It's basically like IT software to like take control of
Right,
Windows
so a
machines.
back end. So if you're an IT person, you can get
yeah.
in the back end of somebody's
Exactly,
PC,
yeah.
like one of the company's PCs, and change
Right.
things.
But then they like
Right,
had a
okay.
bad update, and then
Oh,
the
geez,
bad
yeah,
update.
no one was going to hack that.
It wasn't hacked. It was a bad update. I mean, like
Oh,
it was
well, it was
literally
bad.
it was like
Okay.
it was like a bad OTA basically, but like at a global level. It was
Oh, okay, and then it stopped things booting. Right. Okay.
yeah. It went into like a
Yeah,
boot
right.
loop. Yeah. So you had to
Got
like
it.
revert. I'm sure anyone who's listening who's doing IT is like screaming about how bad it was. It was bad. It was like if you were in IT, it was really, really bad.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, our
No,
editor
it
who does
shut down things.
editing part time and is an
Oh,
IT
really? Yeah?
person,
Oh,
like
it
he
was
was
also
like, no, I felt really bad for him. Like, luckily we didn't make any episodes for a couple weeks, so that worked out well. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yep. Jeez.
It was a mess, but yeah. Linux user here. No, it doesn't matter. No, it was.
So
really
it
bad.
only attacked Windows, right? It was
was
only a
Windows thing,
Windows
yeah. That's right,
thing. Okay, but you had to have this CrowdStrike company's
Exactly,
software
and like a lot
installed.
of like Fortune 500 companies, had
Have it,
that
right.
as like
Yep.
and it was like a big argument against like the centralization because it was this single vendor that's like so embedded in so many important companies and stuff like that. So yeah, what a mess.
Yeah. Oopsie.
Yep. What else happened since we were gone? Let's see. So I've been doing a lot of live streams. You've been recording some videos, I assume. What have you been recording about, Dave?
I've got actually several in the can at the moment. I've got several half finished. I've
at
done lots
you.
of solar because I finally got a battery, a solar battery.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
And hopefully we'll have the CEO on the amp hour.
Cool.
Shortly.
Okay.
So
Great.
Yep. But you can
is
see
the
a
battery
video
like
with him on my
powering the
second
house
channel.
and stuff like that?
Yes. Video's powering the
cool.
house as I speak.
Okay.
So
Great.
yes. But I had
nice.
to expand it. I started out with a 15 kilowatt hour battery, and then like several weeks later, I'm now up to 25 kilowatt hours of battery. So
That's pretty
that's like
fast.
two Tesla Powerwalls size.
Okay. Yeah, those are like
So, yeah.
16 kilowatt hours each. Right?
13.
Okay.
think.
Oh, and this is
Yeah.
AERL, is that right?
AERL, yes, the Australian Energy Research Laboratory. Yep.
Huh. Okay.
Yep.
So you have these batteries just like would they like hang out in your garage, or where do they?
They're a rack. Yeah, they're in a huge rack sitting in my garage. Yep.
How does it make you feel generally, like about like is it
Well, they're
okay?
if they were
I don't really know, honestly.
NMC, if they were NMC, I'd be concerned about it. But they're the new LFP technology, which is way safer than NMC.
And can you give me what these are? These
Oh,
acronyms?
there are two types of lithium batteries. One is lithium, NMC is what you know as your traditional lithium ion battery. So it's nickel based anode or
This
whatever.
is like the anodes. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
right. Yeah. It's a different material. And the other is lithium iron phosphate, which is LFP. And the LFP ones are basically safer. They're not as exothermic, and they won't self-ignite. Basically, if they get an internal short or whatever, or you punch a nail through them, or
That's
you
what I
do
think
whatever,
about.
yes, there will be gas buildup, but they won't self-ignite. So you basically have to have an external ignition source. So you'd have to like walk up to it with a lighter or something like that and actually set the thing
As
alight.
as it's venting, sort of thing.
As it's actually venting the gas, yes.
Got it. Okay.
So so they say I'm not saying that it's physically impossible for them to self-ignite, because I think there are situations where it has happened, but not nearly as much as the NMC ones, which is the nickel ones, which most cars have, for example. Although cars are moving over to this safer LFP type. So, yep.
Oh, is it the Life EPO? That's the
Life, yes.
Lithium
the
ion phosphate. Yeah, okay.
Lithium
So
ion phosphate.
That's
yes.
LFP. I see.
That
okay.
that is LFP. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
So yeah, there's various terms. So
Yes.
yep.
Okay. I have
Yes.
seen.
And then the people in the comments will come out. Oh, they're lithium ion too. They're all lithium ion. Yes, I know. It's like yes, but anyway, they do have a different safety profile. They do have an entirely different safety.
Cool.
I
Oh,
would have
that's good.
preferred to put them outside, And I might eventually put them outside, but they didn't manufacture an outdoor rated cabinet. So I would have to manufacture my own little house outside that mounts the batteries.
And then there'd be spiders in there.
And there'd be spiders. Of course there will be.
Yeah, of course there will. Yeah.
Anyway,
I guess you could put your own spiders in there to like protect them from other critters that might want to get in there. You know.
Boy.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah,
That's great.
Well,
that's cool. That's cool. That's like
it's
working
great.
out because we
It's
talked. I mean, you've talked about it on here before, and we talked about it.
yeah.
You and I talked about it. And I've always wanted to. Like, I think my new house might go for solar. I hope.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
how are you in terms of like tree shading? Because I've seen
Tree
photos,
shading,
and you seem to be very in a bushy kind of area.
It is.
Well, kind of like there's
I have
trees
a lot of trees, but like we need to actually trim a bunch of those back. But I think
Right.
the bigger problem is that the like I actually have a nice flat, like it's a slanted roof, but like a really large surface, but that is facing west, so I would only get afternoon sun, which is
That's all right. I've got mine east and west.
yeah. Okay.
Mine are facing east and west only.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I looked at like the Project Sunroof, like the Google project and like it was like, on the edge. But I think given the fact that we have an EV now, and if we get storage and stuff like that too, and just I think the climate getting hotter too with like I have a heat pump now. Did I tell you that?
Oh, you've got a heat pump for doing what? As in
for
hot water?
No, for the house, it's like a dual mode. So instead of
so it's called an air conditioner. It's called an air conditioner, dude.
Well, okay, so like in my parlance, I would say it's an air conditioner if it's only used for cooling the house, but it's a heat pump in my mind because
okay, here
because it's
they're
heating
called
and cooling.
Well, okay, heating and cooling here is called a reverse cycle air conditioner.
Oh, interesting.
It's called a reverse cycle. But I think
it's
you'd
all
be
heat
hard
pumps,
pressed. Right. Yeah. Oh, yes. It's all heat pump. Yeah. I think in Australia you'd be hard pressed to buy a non-reverse cycle air conditioner, like one that just cools. I don't. As far as I know, I can't offhand. I don't recall seeing one that just cools. They're almost
for central
all
or
reverse cycles.
For like a built-in
a
split
wall system or a central one or whatever. They're all reverse cycle air cons here, which basically means they can heat in wintertime. They're a heat pump, or they can cool in summertime. That's
so like the split
basically
cycle
the
ones,
only thing people buy here.
Got it.
So,
yeah, I mean the central ones in the U.S. are normally only. Well, I don't know about normally, but the ones that I've always had have always been air conditioning only because then it was gas heating. So it still uses the same
you guys
blower
tend to have
infrastructure.
different heating solutions, whereas here we don't have a history of having, except if you're in the mountains, you might have a gas, stove.
It gets a lot colder
a
here,
gas
Dave,
heater.
or where I've lived in the past.
Yeah, I know.
That's the big deal.
Yeah, so we don't have that history, which is why probably, we don't have like furnaces. Like, what the hell's a furnace? Nobody in Australia knows what a furnace is.
Well, if it got cold enough, you would.
It's just
you would
like,
learn.
maybe down in Tasmania or something, they know what a furnace is. But basically, in most of Australia, we just have no clue what this heating business is. It's kind of like
right. And so like, and I think the big thing is like there's a curve where the cost, if it does get really cold. So like for my system here, right? I'm just gonna they call it a heat pump here. So a heat pump system here, like if it does get really really cold, your system has to work harder in like that larger differential.
Oh yes.
And so it gets really expensive for heating. Whereas it's kind of more linear for if you have a gas system sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it depends. You can get different efficient systems. Like, as in, when I installed my new heat pump hot water system, it uses, I can't remember the type of gas, but it uses a different type of gas in the pipes, and that works more efficiently at lower temperature, in lower temperature climates. Anyway, you can watch my heat pump videos.
Natural
probably
gas,
it's already mentioned in there. No, but like the actual compressed gas that's stored in the pipes, right? That they actually use to pump the heat around, and it's a different type of gas in there.
Oh, you're talking about like the coolant slash the
the
refrigerant,
coolant,
effectively?
the refrigerant. Yes, yes,
I see.
you can actually get different types.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
For different environments.
Yep.
And they have different efficiency profiles, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. So you installed an air conditioner. Congratulations. Yes.
No, I did. No. I'm saying I bought a new house and it has like I'm like learning
Oh,
about the new
and
system.
it came with it. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. Yep.
Right. It's so nothing here.
I know.
I'm sorry. It's pretty funny.
I've just never had electric heating before. That's all I'm really getting at.
Okay.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
And,
So
but that
it's
would
always
actually
been gas. So it's always
been
gas for you.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Cleveland, Buffalo, like yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even here when I in North Carolina, like also gas at my last house. So
Got it.
it is the norm, I think.
Got it.
So yeah.
Well, my house actually had gas wall outlets on it, so you can install a gas heater, but not many people use those. They're,
yeah, because that's
rare.
still a per room thing, right? That's how you guys operate.
No,
Yeah, this
that
is
isn't
all
a central
central.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
all central here.
Central things are very uncommon here. Like, well, no, you might get a central, like if you're building a new mansion or something, you might get a central air conditioning system installed.
Yeah.
But
Because we're
once
ritzy
again,
here, Dave. Come on.
it's reverse cycle, so it does both heating and cooling. It's
Right.
It's just no. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a house in Australia that has old school central heating like you guys would actually know. So just not a thing. It's crazy.
Yep.
All right, very exciting.
Yeah.
Chris has an air conditioner. Sorry, I've got to laugh.
Listen, man.
Yanks.
I've had a lot of stuff going on. I don't have the most exciting stories in my life right now. But,
All good. All right. I think our amp hour's up. Do we have anything else?
I've been doing some more Zephyr stuff. You don't really care about Zephyr.
No, I don't care about Zephyr at all.
I was pretty proud. We got some Zephyr stuff working. Yeah.
No. There's nothing else. I think we're slim pickings here.
Yeah, well, Unmanaged is back and posting a bunch of stuff on the subreddit.
He
so
sent me something into the mailbag,
Oh, nice. Okay.
which I don't think I've got it yet. But yeah, he said it's on the way. So
Cool.
I don't know what he's sending, but yep,
Yeah, all right.
sending something in. So that'll be in the next mailbag video.
Okay.
Something from
nice.
Unmanaged 615,
Good stuff.
the
Good stuff.
purveyor of the amp hour Reddit.
That's right.
Yes. Because we're pretty lazy at adding stuff.
Yeah, very
yeah.
few things on here from us. The other thing that has been happening, but probably doesn't really impact any of us, is Intel. That's been a big to
Intel?
do. They cut 15,000 jobs.
Is this
and
recent? How recent is this news? 'Cause I
That
didn't hear it.
happened about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
But
All right.
generally,
Yeah, it
Intel's
goes on
been
the
just
list.
taking a dump. And, I've had a long-term prediction that they're going to split out their foundry business, but really it's just they're completely falling behind, and they're kind of giving up on, obviously NVIDIA is off the charts, crazy amount of
Well, AMD, I
stock.
personally know
Yeah.
2 of my friends have joined AMD recently.
Okay.
And one was just like this morning. He just sent me an email. Hey, dude, I'm now working at AMD. I've got a job at AMD.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, they're hiring
Okay.
like crazy.
You should talk to them. You should talk to those friends. I think it's Intel basically opted out of the kind of the AI space, and that has been not well
Okay,
received.
I need to.
Granted, this
look
is-
into that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of investor stuff versus the reality of what they're building. But I think a lot of their parts are kind of starting to fall behind as well. They're seeing also a lot of competition in the server space, which is how they made their money for a long time, right? So even AMD is hitting them pretty hard. I think ARM based processors are also hitting them, and I think maybe RISC-V stuff. Probably not actually RISC-V, but just generally their once assumed dominance is not really assumed anymore. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I just sent you a link to this is a depressing yet fascinating website, layoffs.fyi.
Yes, we've actually.
Yes.
I think we've posted this once before.
I think we may have, but
yeah.
I'm just checking to see if it's updated. So, yeah, it's basically it lists all of the tech layoffs, and it's just oh my goodness, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah, they track a lot of the I think press releases and stuff like that too, so they can have some of that stuff. Some of it's self-reported from employees there as well.
Oh yeah.
People can
so they may not
submit.
be 100% accurate, but
yeah, I think you
I
can
don't know
submit
how
there.
accurate the info is. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is, San Francisco Bay Area, Intel, 15,000, the 8th of the 1st.
Yeah.
Well, the 1st of the 8th, bloody Yankee dates. Yep.
Yeah. You mean August 1st? August 1st was the answer, yes.
August 1st, yes. And then Tesla laid off 14,000. That was back in 15th of April. Google laid off 12,000. Meta, 11,000. Amazon, 10,000. Microsoft, 10,000. Meta again, another 10,000. Ericsson, 8,500 in Stockholm. Salesforce, 8,000. Amazon again. SAP, Dell, Philips, oh my God.
Yeah.
Toshiba, IBM, 3,900. Geesh.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, I mean
Brutal.
we're seeing some of that stuff. I think some of that is investors trying to like make investors happy
Oh yeah, no, totally.
And some of that is
Cool.
just the interest rate environments and
Absolutely.
technology problems
Absolutely.
and stuff like
Yep.
that. So I think the Intel one is probably the only true hardware one I heard on the list. I did notice that.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't was that company wide, or was that just like targeted at some groups?
Company wide, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, company wide.
Yeah.
Right. So,
But I was going to say
Alright.
that the other one that I saw that was on here, I lost it. Man, I lost it. Where'd it go? It was Cisco. Cisco's also kind of taking a crap right now.
Alright.
So, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So if you if you want to be depressed, go to layoffs.fyi. Oh boy, 134,000 total laid off in 2024.
Yeah. But they know.
412 companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Is there anything positive we can end the note on the show on? No. Positive.
Well, we're still here. That's positive. We
yes.
haven't been
The Amp
sacked
Hour
yet.
has had 0 layoffs.
There's 0 layoffs at the Amp Hour. Yeah.
Dave, we need to talk.
Right. Oh boy.
We found another Aussie.
Right.
Who work at half cost. It's a
Oh boy.
poisonous kangaroo that we found in the outback. Yes. It's a
Oh,
spider.
we should make a brief mention of the DCS lawsuit.
I don't know.
I guess.
What's that?
Are you aware of the DCS? It's an Australian company who make batteries, DCS battery. Here in Australia, they make car batteries, lithium-ion lead-acid replacement batteries for like four-wheel drives and stuff. And they're suing an Australian YouTuber for his product review. And this is like kind of like a landmark case in Australia here, that normally you can't sue people for a product review. But companies that have less than 10 employees, under Australian law, they can sue for defamation in a product review. So, yeah, anyway, we'll link to a crowdfunder down below. And, well, I have done a video on it, so we'll probably just link to my video down below. And, yeah, hope he wins his lawsuit, because this is just ridiculous, and that will change the landscape here in Australia for, you know, people doing honest
Dave's about to get
product
sued.
reviews. Yeah. So
Or, I mean, I think the other practical thing there would be like you only review things for companies that are bigger than 10 people, right?
that are bigger for 10 people. Yeah, that may be the result. But I can't see any way they're going to win this. But, you know, you never know. Right.
Yeah.
So, and they seem to be taking it all the way. Everywhere. Lewis Rossman's covered it. He's getting millions of views on it. Everyone's covering it. And yeah, it's a big, it's a big thing. And DCS have ruined their reputation by taking it this far. So, but apparently, yep, it's going ahead. Lawsuit's going ahead. So, yep.
Okay. Good luck to them.
Bummer. Yep.
I'll probably talk to you in like a month and a half, I guess.
Yeah, probably. All right. Anyway, I've got several guests lined up, and hopefully a big name too. So
Cool. Okay. We'll keep an eye on.
all right.
Thanks, buddy.
Till next time.
See ya.